use the microphone, even though I'm loud. Hi. So we do have our first speaker. Jean is a strategy architect for Design Theory, a small creative agency and business over 11 years based in Orlando, Florida. Going to be talking to us about content creation tools and tips for 2020.
Awesome. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Can you guys hear me? Is that on? Is that on?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. How about now? That sounds about right? Okay, fantastic. I don't have a lot of time, so I have a lot to show you. I'm very, very excited about it. Thank you all for being here today. One of the things that I get, well, probably one of the main things that I get questions about from clients, colleagues, friends, and whatnot is about content. Like, how do you create content? How do you find ideas for creating content? What are the tools that you're using? What are the apps that you're using? All of those things, right? And so what I figured, this would be a really good talk. Let me tell you about the things that I use, because for me, they're kind of normal, and I thought that everybody knew, and I'm realizing that not a lot of people know about these things. So to start off, I want to talk about your website. For those of you how many of you have websites that you blog and create content for? Fantastic. One of the sources that you should go back and look at is to go back and, using your analytics, go back and look to see the kind of articles that you've written over the past maybe 2 or 3 years. See, based on your analytics, what content has been performing the most, meaning has the most visitors, maybe most comments, maybe the most shares, likes, things like that, and kind of take your top, 75% of those, and then think about ways that you could rewrite those. Some of the ways that you could do that would be creating a part 2. So maybe you talked about something, maybe you talked about weight loss, top 10 ways to lose weight before summertime, and you did that in 2017. So that's great, but that was 2017. There's a lot more things that are out now. There's new diets that are out. There's new exercises that are out. There's a whole lot of different things. So maybe your next topic could be, okay, this one did really well based on all the other blogs that I wrote. Let me do another one, top 10 ways to lose weight before the summer, 2020, right? Those are great ways that's a great option in terms of creating content. Another one would be creating a part 2. So maybe you talked about something a couple months ago and maybe things have changed, or maybe you didn't get a chance to finish up on it, or there was more to it. Create a part 2. One of the things that I've been doing a lot of, as you can see with my video there, is we've been doing video content. And so where you can have written content, create video content. Same articles that we're doing really, really well, create a video about it. Stand in front, set your phone up in front of, in front of your window or something like that, so you have good lighting. If you have lighting, turn those things on, and then talk that thing through. A lot of times you'll kind of, as you're going through it, even though you've already written it, you'll remember what you said, but as you're going through it, you'll think about other things that you didn't get a chance to implement. So then, add that into your video. And a lot of times you can convey those things a lot quicker anyway in video. And as we know, a lot of our mediums now is more video driven, is more video focused in terms of our audience. So it's a great way for you to go back, look at that content, and then repurpose that in a new way that's fresh, and still lead them back to your website so that they can read the full article if they want to do that. Okay? So let's talk plugins. How many of you have notebooks? Like a physical notebook, like pen and paper, right? Awesome. So there's a couple of sponsors that are out here right now that have some notebooks. And one of the things that I always tell my clients about is, have a notebook with you all the time. Whether that's, on your bedside, maybe that's while you're driving, maybe that's while you're in meetings. The reason why I say that is because we get ideas sporadically throughout the time, throughout the day or night. And having a notebook by your side, you can quickly jot down that idea. And maybe that idea, you don't have time for you to, really get into it. You don't have time to flush it out or fully get into it. But at the very least, you can write down that idea. And one of the biggest things about creating content is not really having that idea right then and there. When you're ready to write, you set aside this time to write, and it's like, I'm a blank space. I don't know what to do. So having this notebook, write down all your ideas, and then go get this plugin called the calendar, the editorial calendar. What this does is it allows you to kind of create these ideas, write them out, put them in your calendar for when you want to write them. Maybe it's a blog post, maybe it's an article, maybe it's a update to a page, however that you want to use it. But essentially this creates like a calendar, and you put all your ideas in there, you kind of stage it all out, you save it, and then when you're ready to, it'll give you a reminder, you kind of go back and see it, check it on a daily basis if you will, make it part of your routine, and then you'll see, it's like, oh yeah, I did have that idea about this. writing your notes in there or whatever. Now that you're, going through that and it's time for you to write, you'll remember what you started thinking about. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm ready to go into this. It's a free plugin, really, really useful, super easy to get into, highly recommend it. So when we talk about ideas, sometimes maybe we only have 1 or 2 words. We don't really know where to get started with it, right? And HubSpot makes a whole lot of different apps that are free to use that's really, really beneficial to you as a creator. One of the things they do is a blog idea generator. It's free. You can log in there, you type in a couple of keywords, and then it'll give you some ideas. And if you don't like the idea, type in another keyword or type in another few words, try it again until you find some stuff that you really like. If you have a couple minutes, do it a few times. Write down all those things, copy and paste them into your editorial calendar, into your notebook, whatever that makes sense for you, and then go back later and then flush those things out. Or if you're pressed for time and you need to get something done right now, go use the blog generator. And then as you're going through there, find something and then get down to it, go ahead and write your article. Ubersuggest, Neil Patel is somebody I've been following for a good couple of years. He created this app off of this website. It's actually Ubersuggest.com. It's a free tool that you can use that gives you an analysis of your website. Looks to see what kind of keywords you're using, what's working, popular pages, things like that. Similar to what Google Analytics does, but a little easier to read if you're not familiar with Google Analytics. I really like using this, and I definitely recommend it to anybody to use. But one of the pro tips that I would say about using this site is that not only can you use it for your own site to see what's working for you and see, what's performing or what's not performing or whatnot and see where you rank, use this for your competitors and see what's working for them. For those of you that are out there like us that look to try to gain our SEO ranking organically, look to see who's beating you organically. Use this tool, find out what keywords they're using, find out what pages they're outperforming, and then get this analysis and then say, oh, okay, now that I see what's working for them, I can go do something similar, in my own words, of course, and in my own way. But now that I know what's working, I have a good framework for me to use, and then get an upper hand. Again, when we think about when we think about organic SEO, none of this stuff is overnight. But the more that you create this content that's genuine, that's unique, also using to see what's working from other people, you'll start to see your own site rise in your ranking over time. Okay, this is another idea generator, Porton's idea generator. I found it not too long ago. Pretty cool. Very similar to what HubSpot's idea generator does. A little different in terms of the AI and how it works. All you have to do is type in a couple of words and then you hit the button and it'll literally give you your titles. So if you're looking for titles, by all means, check this site out. It's also free. It's very simple. Like I said, just type in a couple words. Maybe you have a string of words. Maybe you only have 2. It'll give you some ideas in terms of titles. Now, because it's AI driven, it's not the best, but it is super, super effective in terms of giving you some ideas, because essentially you'll see something, it'll say like, how the brown cow jumps over the moon with digital strategy. That doesn't really make sense, but depending on some of the words that'll come up, you'll be able to pull something out of that if you get something that's funny like that. All right. How many of you listen to podcasts? Oh man, I was hoping a lot more than that. So podcasts are huge right now, which is great for me because I got into podcasting, at least as from a listener, several years ago, probably in like 2006. And back when, anybody remember Palm Pilots? Show my age. All right, cool. So back when I had my Palm Pilot, I was able to download these podcasts and I could listen on the go. And what's happening right now with podcasts is that the barrier for entry is so much lower than what it used to be. You used to have the studio and go into these different places and have these expensive mics and all this other stuff, and now you really don't need to. As long as you have a cell phone, which most of you have, you can actually create a broadcast using Anchor. You can publish it. It'll show you all the steps that you need to do, and they'll actually publish it to the major networks that are out there, like Spotify and Apple Podcasts, to name a few. The thing that I want to say about this as well is that if you have content, especially if you're doing videos like we are, strip the audio from that, and that could actually be a podcast episode. And if you're doing that on a weekly basis, now you've got content for those that are on the visual side, and then you've also got content for those that are on the audio side. And then if you really want to take it further, strip that audio down to text, and then you've got a written format that you can post on your website, and then link all of those things within there. So maybe you do one blog post that has the audio, maybe another blog post that has the video, another one that has just the text, or all together. However that you want to do it, these are all different ways that you can kind of utilize different ways for creating content for your audience in the areas that they are. Now, one thing that I do want to say is that this medium is growing like super fast. Because of the fact that the barrier for entry has decreased so much, you really want to try to think about a way that you can be consistent as well as deliver a unique, have a unique delivery, I should say, in terms of what you're going to talk about and your subject matter. One of the biggest things that I've seen over years within podcasts is that a lot of people get hot and heavy, they get started, and then they fall out. And you can kind of see it in their podcast showing. So by all means, definitely check it out. Again, this is also free, so I highly recommend it. Good for time. All right. The next thing that I want to say is Google Trends. Google Trends is Google Trends is a site that, again, is free. If you've ever thought about writing content that is on the cusp of what's popular right now, maybe it's in weather, maybe it's in sports, maybe it's in politics, maybe it's in fashion, whatever that you could think of, use Google Trends. Because what I've seen that works really, really well is if you're able to create a compelling enough article title, which we've given you tools to do that, and then create an article that supports the title that's really relevant to what's trending, you can catch some virality by that. Right? Because there's other reporters that are looking for this content, other websites and people, and especially in social media, looking to link to give credence to whatever they're talking about. So by using Google Trends, you can actually look up trends that are either nationally, that are globally, that are even hyper local to your city or town, and then find out what's popping, and then create content based on what people are actually looking for and what's popular right then and there. It's kind of like looking on the backside of Twitter to see what's popular and what people are talking about, and then being able to create content about that. So I highly recommend using Google Trends if you're not familiar with it already. So infographics are something that I got into, a couple years ago. They're still really, really popular because they're able to deliver so much information in a visual format. For me as a visual person, I love seeing those types of things because when I see an article or even long form articles that have, paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs, the first thing that I'm thinking for me is like, oh man, I'm sure there's something that's important here. How can I skim through to get exactly what I need and then get going? Easily will help you for those of you that are not designers, that aren't graphically inclined or anything like that, barrier to entry, way down, right? So now with this, okay, let me try to hurry. So with this, you can create infographics super, super easy without any design experience. Okay, I'm going to breeze through the last few of these. Facebook Live. Those of you who are not using Facebook Live, I highly recommend that you do so. It is another tool that is out there for you that Facebook is pushing because they want you to be creating live content because they want eyes on that platform as much as they can. And so they're prioritizing the live form content over everything else. Even if you consider paying content on Facebook, you're still doing better if you're considering live shows or live episodes where you're delivering content over a couple of minutes to your audience, whether it's in groups, on your Facebook page, business page, or whatnot. Same thing with Instagram. Instagram has so many mediums in it, right? So you have Facebook Stories, IG Live, IGTV, in the regular timeline. All of these are areas where we have billions of active users every single day that is able to see your content, so long as you're producing it in a way that's appetizing to them. See me afterwards, I'll be in the Genius Bar, but there's ways that you can utilize this platform to really gain a good amount of audience and then create calls to actions to drive them to landing pages to then get qualified leads into your business. Okay, so if you don't know how to get or where to get photos and videos and things like that, royalty-free sites like Mixkit, Pexels, and Remove.bg. Remove.bg is really, really great because if you ever had an image that you wanted to take the background away from, use that. It's a free site. You upload the image to the site, they remove it, and then they let you download it for free. There's a premium site on top of that too, but check that out if you want to. But these are the sites that we use if you're looking for content that you can't record, but maybe you need something for yourself for part of a video or a blog post or whatnot. Okay. Last two, SurveyMonkey. If you don't know, if you have a large audience or you have somewhat of an audience but don't know what they're really interested in, use SurveyMonkey. Send them a survey. Maybe make it 1 or 2 or 3 questions really quick. Send it out to them. Ask them what they think about this, that, and the third. Ask them what they think about your service. Ask them what they're interested in. Ask them what their challenges are. And then see what they say. Based on what they tell you back, that's giving you great content in terms of what you should be creating to help them. The more that you do that to help them out, the more that they're going to tell other people and the more they're going to come back. All right, last one, Adobe Spark, another creative tool that you can use that's free, that you can create video content, digital content in terms of graphics and things like that for your socials, your social channels. They have a free side that you can get in on, and then there's a premium side as well. Highly recommend using that. Barrier to entry for non-designers, super easy. Okay. Right on 2 o'clock. If you have any questions, I have this slide up on my website. If you go up there now, you can download it for free. I will be in the Genius Bar right after this. If you have any questions about the things that I've said, please come see me. Thank you so much. See you around. Oh, awesome. Yes.
We run a video agency, and one of our biggest challenges was trying to find clients, and the biggest thing was, where do we start with the video? So you kind of talk about how you can take a video and skin it down to like blog articles, but one thing we found that is worked really successfully for us is taking existing written content and converting script out of that.
Right.
And one of the things that really worked for us from an SEO standpoint is video FAQ. So one of my tips would be, you already have an FAQ for clients. Just script that out, create your how-to video.
Yep.
You'll see the SEO.
Yep, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Do we have any other questions?
One more question over here. Great tip. Thank you for that. Thank you, Ryan.
Okay. What?
That's okay.
Okay.
I'll repeat it.
What do you suggest the time period or consistency of releasing information to keep audiences engaged without overwhelming them with giving them too much?
Yeah. So your analytics will tell you that over time. What I would say to start off with, do it every day. And then look to see what people are interacting with and what type of stuff. So you're going to talk about something a little bit different every single day, probably, right? So start off with every day and then see what that is for after about a couple weeks, maybe to a month. And then maybe then go to once a week and then see what the difference is. The numbers of your analytics and most of these social platforms, especially your website, will tell you what people are interacting with, what they're enjoying, and what they're not.
I saw on your screen that you had Tuesday for your social media deployment. Do you have like quick tips for Twitter or like which day or time is the best for releasing content?
Yeah, it used to be like Tuesdays at 9 a.m., Thursdays at 9, 10 a.m. You know, those times were usually pretty good. Wednesdays was kind of a mixed bag, but it really depends. I would love to tell you like a global general one. Those two I would say would probably be a good starter, Tuesdays and Thursday mornings. But see me because I have much more to talk about that. That's a good question.
These are lightning questions.
I know, these are lightning. These are quick. We got one more over here.
He's going to repeat it for us.
So you throw a lot of tools at us.
Yes.
How do you tell which tool is best for your particular purpose?
Try it out. I'll be honest with you, because not all of these are perfect for everybody, but one of these may be perfect for one of you. And if I was able to at least give one of you something to use that was beneficial, my job was done, right? So, and a lot of times, these are also on the free side of things. You get what you pay for. There's definitely other applications that are out there that if you put a little money into it, maybe it's, $50 a month, $100 a month, it'll give you a whole much more bang for your buck. But if you're able to at least start with something, see what you like about it, it'll give you an idea of what you should be paying for when you're ready to move into the next thing. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Great. Any other questions? Yes.
I do a lot of YouTube marketing, YouTube videos. I often use a tool called TubeBuddy.
Yes. I love it. I should have added that as well. TubeBuddy is a really, really good, if you want a big hack in terms of finding out what video content you should be creating based on your competition, based on your audience, download the free plugin. It's a free browser plugin, and as well as an iPhone app or a mobile app called TubeBuddy, T-U-B-E, Buddy, right? There's a free side of that one, and there's also a premium side. So when you download that, I was just telling a buddy of mine to use that. He's a golfer, golf instructor, and like he's seen a tremendous amount of engagement and improvement just by using that in terms of understanding what people are looking for and what content he should be creating, and as well as like what titles are working, what keywords are working, things like that. Highly recommend it. And I think there was one more. Yes.
You're saying that podcast is growing with this one tomorrow. I used Anchor for a while, but then I decided to actually switch over to Lipson.
Okay.
Because they are a little bit more liberal when it comes to the content you can put out.
Sure.
And I just like the hosting a little bit more. Have you tried it before?
Yes, Lipson's been around for years. I would say a lot. They've been around longer than Anchor, which is fine. However, if you want to get started, like Anchor's a great way to get started if you don't know, if you don't have all the tools, not sure how to link, get your RSS feed, bring it over to Apple, bring it over to Google, bring it over to Stitcher, all those other things. And so there are a lot more options I think that you get with Lipson. And again, it's like what her question was, like, yeah, can I get started with this? You can get started here, but if you already know that you want to get into this, you're gonna be into it in the long run, and you know some of the things that you want. Lipson's a really good one. I forget what the other one that was out there that's also well known as well. Or it's more on the side of, I'd say, like, not novice to professional, but definitely more options. That's definitely a good one too, on the podcasting side. Good question. I think we're out of time. All right, I'm out of time. Thank you so much, everybody.